This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the mixtape with K, Diesel, and Zap. This is the mixtape. We got kicks in the bag. This is the mixtape. Live at 8:05. This is the mixtape. Yeah, the mixtape. This is the mixtape with K, Diesel, and Zap. This is the mixtape. We got kicks in the bag. This is the mixtape. Live at 8:05. This is the mixtape. Yeah, the mixtape.
Yo, what it do?
Oh,
Yeah?
yeah.
Is that for any particular reason, or
That was just let it all out.
you had to get it off your chest?
Yeah, off the chest.
Go ahead, take a moment right now just to do that. If you're tuning in, just hit them with the No? All right.
All right.
How you doing? Welcome to the Mixtape Podcast. I'm your boy K Deezy,
I'm your boy DJ Zap.
and we're just a couple of regular, ordinary guys doing what we do best, and that is bullshitting about music and life and
Yeah,
music.
music and
The
life.
two, how they entertain and intertwine.
And we're here. We're still here.
Wow.
They said we wouldn't last 5 shows, but here
They
we are.
said
show
it
6.
wouldn't last. But we're doing it.
Yeah, right on.
So if you're tuning in, thank you. Welcome. If you're subscribed, you're getting an alert right now. It says that we are live.
Yeah, shout out to the alert
And-
guy at YouTube for always posting those things when we go live.
Letting them know.
For those of you that are watching and want those alerts, all you got to do is subscribe and tap the little bell. Turn on the alarms, notifications.
The bell.
And shout out to the 109 people now following us on YouTube.
Official.
Yeah. I expect to hit 1,000 by next week.
Right.
Kiko.
Figure you want me to put in work?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I can do that. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
So this week I wanted to take it back to how we used to do. We used to have subjects and would discuss them and get in deep. I don't know if you remember, but really the idea for that came from the night sessions we used to have, like after DJing or
Yeah.
after a heavy night out. We'd be eating tacos or just whatever, and we would get into
post-event mode. Yeah.
and we'd just get to talking about music and
Stuff.
yeah, it would
Decompression, decompress from the...
but we would get deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I don't think they expected you to talk so much. I don't know. Like,
Right.
you're DJ and you're kind of just like, hi, I'm
Hello.
DJ Zap.
DJ Zap. We'll be walking behind Kiko all night tonight. Thank you.
You're full. But, people know me to be a loudmouth because that's what I do. I get on the microphone at clubs and I usually try to turn up and
Turn up.
be Little Big John.
Little Big John. Little Big John.
Big John. Hey! What? And I don't know. It was just out of those conversations that this podcast was born, kind of fruition
Birth.
from.
We
Yeah,
gave birth to it.
for reals. And honestly, if it hadn't been for the pandemic,
Plandemic.
all that happened, probably wouldn't have pushed us to this format. I don't think. I don't know. You were already going strong with TikTok, right? You were like all the time, oh man, we need to be on TikTok. You need to get your, you need to get your Snap. Oh my God, he'd be on my case. He'd be like, you need to get your Snapchats on TikTok and put them up, and so eventually, I mean, you had the lead on that, but
that's when everyone was like, no, I'm never getting on that kids app. Now that's all they do all day. And then they showed me a TikTok from 2 years ago.
During the closure, I saw more moms on TikTok.
Right.
All of a sudden.
All of a sudden. I gotta give it up for tonight's look right here on the whole screen. We got that whole Vibe magazine cover.
Right.
Back in the days.
That'd be dope if we could throw that up. Have it floating right here, but
we'll do that in post.
We can.
We'll do that in post editing.
We're not tech savvy,
right?
Like that. But
yeah,
he's talking about the Suge Knight, Snoop, Dre, and Tupac, and they're all in black, and the background's black. And
and
all you see is
there's like an extended version of that with like Lady of Rage and
it opened up, right?
Yeah,
like,
Corrupt and
everybody else
on there. Someone's missing.
Dogpound, Nate Dogg probably.
Yeah. There you go.
Crazy. California Love.
California Love.
And it was just showing Zap before the show.
Before the show.
The original version of that song.
California Love.
And Dr. Dre's second verse.
Yes.
Now, if you didn't know, that song was supposed to be on Dr. Dre's The Chronic 2.
Right.
A New World Odor. I don't know if that's really true, if that's what they were going to call it or not.
I don't know what they were calling it,
but that's what I read initially. That it was that's what it was supposed to be for, and
the name of the album after The Chronic, post Snoop Dogg, and then it never got
right. So what happened is Tupac heard it at a session at Dre's,
right,
and asked him to be put on the song, and apparently the story is that he took about 15 minutes to write his verse.
Right.
He just dipped into it and just said.
In studying for tonight's show, I was watching clips from the Tupac movie, and then the what is it, the NWA movie, or what was it, the Tupac movie and one other movie? I don't know. It's the one where
Straight Outta Compton.
Maybe it was Straight Outta Compton, when they're doing the studio session, and the guy's getting beat up by everybody in the hallway, and Dre gets all mad and drives away drunk or whatnot. But then the other version of the other movie, Tupac ends up writing his verse that night in 15 minutes. Yeah, that's the piece. But Dre does say this is from something I've been working on, my album or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was intended for that, and that was 95. So like right before Tupac passed away.
Right.
And it's also the longer version of the song, 6.5 minutes long.
Right.
So just Dre does 2 verses, and Roger Troutman, who was with Zap,
goes in on him for shake it, shake
Yeah.
it, shake it, shake it, shake it.
You heard the whole end, the last 30 seconds maybe.
Right.
It was just all like that alcohol, like even Dr. Dre's like, all right, enough, that's it.
Keep it going. Get every last verse out.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about is this song and the way it came about, because Dr. Dre is working on his second album.
Right.
did the Chronic. Life is just exploding left and right. They're just getting money hand over fist.
Right.
Snoop Dogg's taking off. Dog Pound's taking off.
Correct.
Nate Dogg's taking off. All these people, everybody can't get enough of Death Row Records.
Right.
You know? So not only is he the head producer and partner with Suge, he's also under pressure to come out with his next album.
Right, exactly. Everyone's waiting for the Chronic 2 or whatever we're calling that album, right?
So they said the Chronic 2, A New World Odor, Papa's Got a Brand New Funk.
Was the proposed title?
That is what is being proposed on Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia is not the...
That's our source.
It's
no,
not
that's our source.
Authoritative, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you could, if you type in enough and alter stuff, things could be changed.
Right.
Anyways.
I've read some falsehoods on Wikipedia prior, allegedly.
Despite if that's the name or not, we knew that Chronic 2 was supposed to come out. Suge put the hold on that, right?
For the
and
Tupac project.
Right. Well, after Dre left,
right?
You know what I mean. So that was like Death Row property, and Dre
that's right.
got out of it to start Interscope or to start Aftermath on, and so I know he wanted to have the Chronic 2, and Suge was like, nope.
Right.
I own that name.
Exactly.
So he had to do Chronic 2001.
Right. Which I think didn't Death Row during that time come out with like some Chronic 2001, like Chronic 2000
they did Chronic 2000,
right?
I think. And it was whatever. I remember watching these videos.
Wasn't Crooked Eye on Death Row during that time? I know he's with Eminem and the crew now and all that, but wasn't Crooked Eye back then, like the post Dre Death Row?
We're gonna have to look into that.
I'll look it up. I think it's the one where he's sitting on the toilet, right?
I'm not sure.
King Crooked. Well, it was Crooked Eye back then. So. I think.
So California Love becomes Tupac's song.
Right.
Once he's got his thing on, and then they did the video real quick. And
right. I remember when the video was being recorded because I watched MTV like everybody else during that time, and they interviewed Dre, then Tupac, and they're doing the Mad Max thing, right?
You know who inspired that?
Oh, you know what? I do know, but tell us who inspired that video.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I'll
leave it to the chat. Is somebody in the chat? Is there somebody in the chat?
Is there anybody
right
watching this?
I don't know. There might not be. You know what? We should have put. We had barbecue guest, and then we get a crap load of people watching. Barbecue part 2, but it's really not. It's like we'd be like Soulja Boy used to do with with the streaming service. What was it? Napster.
Right.
But more barbecue talk.
Bring you back.
Yeah, but on that subject, who was it that
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Right, that's right. Jada Pinkett. At that time, she was Jada Pinkett, right?
Pinkett. Yeah.
Pinkett.
It's still Pinkett.
Right.
I messed it up to Pinkett.
But she was Jada Pinkett back then. She wasn't married yet.
Oh, yeah. Probably not. I don't know.
Right. She suggested the whole
she came up with the
concept of the video, right?
To do that, and was expected to direct the video.
Right.
Then she removed herself from the project.
Correct.
And was replaced by Hype Williams.
Who put it together in a week. A week is what I understand, because I believe shortly after they end up having, it's later in the story, so I don't want to cut to that part, but they have a falling out, right? So or Dre leaves or whatever, so because I think the next song
well, yeah, well they
Jada Pinkett's supposed to produce it or produce the video, direct the videos.
It came together real quick.
Right.
Now I can't find it in my notes.
No worries. I just watched it about 10 minutes before I got here. Trust me, he said it was like 7 days. And Hype
Right,
Williams.
It really was. And they got to it, and they had a bunch of people in the video, and it was pretty dope. And then at the end, you remember it says to be continued.
That's right.
Right. So.
Because Chris Tucker's in it.
Yeah. Chris Tucker was in it. Then the only known for, Friday, I believe. I don't think he had done his second movie yet.
Right.
Or maybe not.
You know who? What was that one movie with Bruce Willis?
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Yeah. Probably right around the same time.
Around the same time.
Tony Cox. Remember the little black?
Yep. Tony Cox.
And Roger Troutman was in it.
Yeah.
George Clinton was in it.
That's right. George Clinton was in it.
He was like the evil tribal. He had the piercings on his nose.
Exactly.
Which was pretty hard. I remember at that time thinking,
man,
if I could pull that off, I want that, because at that time I had the
right. Oh, you had the sugar-free braids going.
No. I did actually, but it wasn't. I had them more done up like the Brat.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Bigger. So
right.
But I had the Jodeci hoops. I was not kind of stretching my ears, like not really.
The gauges? You're doing the gauges?
Yeah, it was like, but it wasn't like thick. It wasn't like,
I don't see that many people who can't gauges anymore. Find those kids.
Yeah, it's not. It was happening for a minute. Like dudes was rocking hoops.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
no, I remember.
I started out with the diamond earring, and then that like a real diamond was like
right
that big, and people had big old diamonds on. Like,
it's like when you see Tupac with that nose ring. He has that big old diamond on that nose ring, right? I mean,
but that was probably real.
Yeah, it was probably real. Everyone else was rocking the zirconium from
fresh out of high school. I know you ain't got no diamond piece up in your ear.
The back of the Source magazine ones. What was? They used to sell all the.
Got an earring backing on it. Pencil eraser.
Yeah, you lost the backing. Let me get a pencil eraser, put it in the back.
So I had the hoops going. I call them the Jodeci hoops.
Jodeci.
Anyways, George Clinton
is in the video. That's right.
On there, and
the theme is California wants to party, and whoever controls the party is right the one during that Mad Max wasteland. I heard it takes place in 2095 or something, 85 or 2090 or something.
2095.
2095. All right. See, I did a little bit of research. It was about. I just remember it was a Mad Max video. Honestly, that's my normal memory.
Right.
The other timing is, watching an interview with Tupac and Dr. Dre.
It was pretty cool, and it had the dome.
Right now, the dome is
and so that was pretty dope. Like
the dome.
You can tell that they had money to put this together, and they shot. That's what it was. It was filmed in 3 days.
Right, and they had helicopters. The dome looked like the big what is that spider monkey bar thing that some playgrounds had at school, that like the real good kid would go right in the middle of it, hang upside down, and you'd be watching from the side, just climbing on the outside.
Right? All the triangles.
Yeah.
So, and then the second video is based on the remix version, which is the more I think it's more of a relaxed feel or whatever. So the first one was what album was it on?
What, the
I think it was All Eyes on Me.
Yeah.
No. That was the second video.
What's the first one on? Is it the same one that
or it was All Eyes on Me? Where is the?
You could look that up after.
Yeah, for reals. Oh no, it was a compilation, the greatest hits, and the UK version of All Eyes on Me.
Oh, okay.
All right, and then the second part came out on All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the second one, the video kind of, I mean, the song starts over again, but it starts with Tupac waking up from a dream.
That's right.
Basically, that's where it starts. So then he's like telling Dre, come over, we're having a party. And then there's a whole bunch of other people
Right.
that weren't in the first video that was in the second one, including Deion Sanders, Prime Time.
Really? I don't remember Deion Sanders.
Yeah, he's in
but-
the video. Big Psych, DJ Quick, Danny Boy, Jodeci, B Legit, E40.
All the people there at that time remember during that time, everyone was like, oh, so and so is going to sign to Death Row, and so and so is going to sign to Death Row, and so and so is going to sign to
And
Death Row.
I don't think DJ Quick ever did, but he did do work.
Yeah, they were like doing work
like-
under management. I mean, I know I'm not like the ultimate expert, but I specifically remember things from that time, and a lot of it was was everyone was going to sign to Death Row.
Speculation, because they were just blowing up.
Above the Rim had come out, and they put a bunch of people
my
on the
God.
on the soundtrack, and in the background you had everybody was like, and everyone was like, why isn't Warren G on Death Row, and who's this guy?
True.
And anyone they'd mention in the rap or the lyrics, people would be like, that person must be Death Row. I mean, because Jodeci was like, oh, they can't use their real name. They got to go by Nina or whatever, which left eye, right? And all this other stuff.
They were pretty dominant.
Yeah.
And, I think because of that, that's when you had Bad Boy trying to
Come back and
do their thing with Bad Boy Records, and
yeah.
that started out with Craig Mack, but once Biggie got on,
Right.
that was his main.
Next thing you know,
Right,
it's
but
Total.
then Mace, Harlem World, Total,
Faith
112.
Evans, 112.
Exactly. He
Right.
was, still, Mary J. Blige was, I think, was still on her own, but she was working with them. And
Exactly. Mary J. Blige was, I think I heard she was playing for both sides. Just allegedly.
she's a singer, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So yeah, this video, the two videos, did so much for hip hop videos in general.
Yeah. It made it more that
I mean,
up to them, you still had a lot of videos that were your classic, cookie cutter hip hop videos. You have a lot of videos back then. It was just the guy go rap, see the girls behind him.
yeah,
That type of thing. And
yeah. This one really took it, I guess, with Hype Williams, and he
and a budget. That was probably the other thing.
Well,
They had a
yeah,
budget.
That too.
They had a budget.
When you have a budget,
Yeah.
we'll have.
We have girls back here. Me and Kiko would be dressed in spikes and chains and have Roger Troutman's hologram back here
Right.
singing the Mixtape podcast
computer
intro.
love.
Right? Helicopter flyby. Computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know we made it, when we have like a budget. Right now we're still in.
Yeah, but you know what? Shout out to our sponsors that we
Yeah,
do
shout
have.
out to our sponsors. Thank you. MMC, Michelada Matacrudas, from Piru to Salinas.
And everywhere between us, you can find them
there we go.
at your liquor stores. Plus, we had
Yeah, for locals, you can find them over there at Gateway and where else? L&K. I seen them at L&K.
Red Eye,
Red Eye Liquor too. Shout out to Adept,
Adept,
making us sound and look good.
Adept Events. If you want professional sound and lighting,
Yeah, the
that's who
good
you
stuff.
call. Who you gonna call?
Adept Events.
Adept.
Markov. Shout out to Isaiah and Aunt G, busting out all that good merch and the sounds that you hear in the backgrounds.
Yes,
And
definitely.
last but not least, don't forget to subscribe. Damn it, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Hit that button. That's how we keep this thing going. That's how we fund the show here. What's up, Junie?
All right. So just a few more facts.
All right, more facts.
Accolades.
Kick them.
California Love was voted 11th best single of '96 in Paz and Job, an annual critics roll by the Village Voice.
Right.
Ranked 10th in his own year-round list. Song's video was nominated for an MTV Music Award for Best Rap Video '96.
Right.
Achieved number 9 on the top 10 of MTV's 100 greatest videos ever made in '99. In 2005, it reached a bronze medal spot for MTV2 and XXL's 25 greatest West Coast videos.
Right.
Also achieved number 1 on the French MTV's 100 greatest rap videos in 2006. 51 VH1's Countdown to the 100 Greatest Songs of the 90s. Now, as far as charts go, for certifications and sales,
Right.
Australia went gold, Canada went gold, New Zealand went platinum, Norway went gold, United Kingdom gold, United States physical 2 times platinum, and United States digital 2,400,004 certified units sold. Digital,
Right.
which that was
A long time ago.
you know what I mean? Well, yeah, because that the physical is at 2 million.
Right.
That's the CD or the album,
Or the album or cassette.
Right.
Even.
but
still.
digital came way after that,
Right.
and it still sold that much.
many. Right. Plus, I want to point out that most of the places that rank those things are East Coast. Village Voice is New York.
Right.
VH1, MTV, New York.
Canada, there was all these places that.
And that's back then when, if you're from the West Coast, you had a very difficult time landing in the top 50 of anything New York, because
Right.
that's how it worked in rap. So to land that number, a very respectable number 9, and if you weren't sure if that was happening, watch the Snoop Dogg announcement at the Source Awards when he says, "East Coast don't have love," because that had to be said and someone had to say it.
Crazy.
So number 9 is respectable for listing, but sales-wise, I mean, I know back then everyone was like, "I'm either gonna let the homie buy it and make me a copy of this."
Despite what it placed in sales wise,
Right.
there's a list probably of about 10, 15 where it's best ever or greatest.
Yeah, I mean, at West
Ever.
Coast. If
50
there's a
greatest,
West
100
Coast
greatest.
anthems list, I'm not sure who's making it, but
Right.
most people, it would be top 5 at least, right?
Yeah.
At least, I don't know. Type it in the chat what you would rate California Love on in your top. We go back and read it, even
Now,
if
I
we're
wish,
not watching live.
I wish that that we could play. We can't play it because we don't want to. We don't have permission.
You could sing it a cappella.
Right. Let me get my Roger Troutman talk box.
Yeah.
One of the things we didn't talk about is where they got the idea, where this came
The
from.
compositions and all.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let's talk.
Right.
I've also
Because
been
now
researching.
this goes old school,
Yeah, it goes old school.
right?
Right.
Because the song is mimicked off of West Coast pop rock.
Right.
I think that's the first song that comes to.
Yeah, when I first heard it,
My
I'm like, oh, they have Roger Troutman singing Ronnie Hudson. Or is it Ronnie Hudson? Ronnie Hudson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie
Yeah.
Hudson. West Coast pop rock, right? I mean, that's what I first
Right,
reaction.
because California knows how to
Party. I was
Right.
like, all right, California knows how to party. And the sample, the official sample is Joe Cocker, right?
Woman to Woman.
Woman to Woman.
Right.
Which, if you look at Dr. Dre's history with that song, he even has Jewel sing like a.
Oh man, we
right?
heard about Jewel.
Yeah, we gotta say rest in peace to
Jeez,
Jewel. She
rest in
passed away
peace.
last week or a week ago or less or something like that.
I think it was less. It was just, I think
Yeah.
it was just a few days ago.
And she has a version of Woman to Woman,
did.
right? Which
that
is a
was
remake
actually
of a remake.
her only song that charted.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right?
It was her only song that charted. The other songs she did was a lot of background stuff for Snoop and Dre
Right.
and all that. But yeah,
That was the one. Can I have a talk with you? May I speak to Kiko?
not me,
Yeah,
not me, player.
but that's the Joe Cocker version, which I heard. I didn't confirm, but I'm pretty sure EPMD had sampled it already, and Ultramagnetic had sampled it.
Really?
Yeah, prior. So they have that similar guitar riff, that dum dum dum, right? But
which I wouldn't put it past, because the more I learn about Dr. Dre's samples and as they come up and the originals and stuff like that,
right,
the more I'm like, come on. Because I guess I put it in my head that he was like just mastermind,
like a genius.
let me just touch the keys and whatever I come up with is going to be a hot beat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not really knowing or understanding that he had an adept
ear
knowledge of music. And, you know, he listened to stuff that, I mean, well, I don't know.
You don't want to call it unpopular, because it was popular. I mean, it's stuff I would say that people, some of that, forget about.
It just, he is, he's like 10 years older than me.
Same.
So, you know, his knowledge is going to extend further than mine, because he was listening to music as a youngster.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like I was too, but our range of music is way different.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, the stuff he was listening to, his parents probably listened to as they were growing up.
Right.
So he had that background.
Yeah.
It's the first feeling I got when I started listening to rap music on my own and not understanding why certain songs hit right away.
Right, exactly.
And then you find out, oh, that's
a sample. That's some other song. Yeah.
And you're kind of like, well, I don't ever remember listening to that.
Yeah,
but
I have no idea.
There's a good chance, a good possibility that my parents were, or my uncle was.
Right.
Or somebody older was
Right.
listening to that. And, you know, subliminally, I got into that. So, yeah, Woman to Woman was definitely, you know, into that. The remix version contains a sample from Clear's 1984 song Intimate Connection, which I'll be singing at DJ Zap's next karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Intimate Connection.
Serious.
I'm just kidding. I'm not singing.
That's the lead into that new funk album that we'll be making. This is where we keep all our new funk hits.
New funk.
Serious.
So yeah, Roger Troutman from Zap has his talk box doing his version of West Coast Pop Luck.
Exactly.
But wasn't he part of West Coast Pop Luck or no?
No, so that's what Ronnie Hudson had. Back then he had West Coast Pop Lock, East Coast Pop Lock, and I can't remember the third version because I had a 12-inch with, like, on one side had East Coast Pop Lock. I'm like, what is this? Like,
really?
What is this? And yeah, I actually think.
Oh, no. It had So Rough, So Tough.
Yeah, it had So Rough, So Tough.
By Roger Zap. That was the sample that they used.
Yeah, that's Ronnie Hudson doing.
So for Zap to come back and take that and do.
Yeah, probably waited and said, I'm going to do this one. But I saw they said that it sampled Dance Floor is sampled on there, but you know, I don't think it's sampled on there. I think it's just that one part where he's like, shake it, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Shake, you know.
Right. So it's he sings that. It's called the
interpolation, right?
Right.
He's singing.
He's redoing it.
Yeah.
It's not the exact sample.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
Right.
And he's doing it, and it's just a take.
Or maybe Roger Troutman knew that if he sings that part, he gets an extra checky.
For Dance Floor?
Hey, maybe.
Right. Well, yeah, you know.
Right.
So that's the other part that they don't tell you. If you were around when this song came out,
right,
and the reason it's so significant that we said George Clinton was in the video, Roger Troutman was in the video, because old school music was making a resurgence into well, I wouldn't say mainstream, but into the street.
Yeah, people
You know
are
what I
starting
mean?
to
Because
sample or sampling
they were
already.
sampling heavy.
Heavy.
I think, Eazy-E sample
Right.
of the Ohio Players' Funky Worm.
Right.
Like, that one was kind of like, oh, well, this is different, new. And then I forget who did sampled Flashlight. I think it was Ice Cube.
Right.
And suddenly you just had these slew, like everybody on the West Coast just started sampling these old school songs.
They opened the floodgates.
So then that like just changed, like More Bounce. Remember, More Bounce was being sampled by everybody from EPMD, Heavy D.
Right.
Like everybody was sampling that. So
which is interesting when you think about like EPMD initially sampling like More Bounce. I mean, I think that's the one everyone remember, right? You got to chill.
Yeah.
And people like, boom, more. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This guy's rapping over it. This guy's in the back.
But see, I don't remember More Bounce. I don't remember. I was like young when they came out, and at that time it was, you know, when you're young, you're kind of sheltered from certain stuff, but you kind of hear in the background, but you're not, you know, you want to play with your toys.
Right.
You know, so when I heard EPMD, I was like, oh, this slaps.
What is this?
Not knowing why.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Because that sample.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why until I heard Heavy D.
Oh, sample
More
bounce
to the ounce. And then I was like, this is like almost the same song. Like, what is this?
Right.
So I think we had a lot of people my age, our age, at a young age going, what is this? Why is this so dope? You had an older generation of hip-hop listeners going, oh, man, they just sampled. That's just, whatchamacallit? You know what I mean? It wasn't until people got really creative and were sampling odd songs that, you know, you wouldn't remember that really, like, push West Coast, because suddenly everybody started sounding the same.
Yeah, I remember back then showing a copy of the Chronic album to this guy Steve from Cal Central Lighting and Sound.
What's up, Steve?
I don't know where Steve's at. Cal Central Lighting and Sound. I think his last name started with a W. Worked out there with Joe Quayle or whatnot. And I showed him a copy, and he's like, "What's hot right now?" I'm like, "What?" I said, "This album right here, this thing right here." Put it on. I play it for him. He goes, "That's George Clinton." Like the whole, like he was like, "Let me ride." He was like, "That's George Clinton."
Right.
Cannabis sativa. He's like, "That's George Clinton. That's Parliament. That's this." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you know." But he was like going in, right? So I was like, and then he's like, "Play me some more." It played him Little Ghetto Boy. That's so-and-so. You know, played him this. Oh, that's I Want to Do Something Freaky. It was just like naming every sample on the album, right? Which I was like, yeah, I could read the liner notes too, but he knew, right? So to me, it was like with California Love. I don't know. I know there's some guy that when he first heard it said, "That's Joe Cocker." Somewhere, some guy,
right?
I don't know where. A big Joe Cocker fan is like, you know, but it's the same way when you hear someone do the talk box and someone say, "No, that talk box is from, you know, Steve." I heard Stevie Wonder do it. I heard, or what's the guy from Midnight Special with the wah 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 wah, whatever his name is, right? I'm missing out. Sorry, I apologize to my brother and everybody else who get mad that I don't remember the guy's name, but at least I remember he was on Midnight Special and he played. It was like a 20-minute version of that song, and he like, you know. It had a live version too, so someone type it in the chat and remind me. But yeah, it was like the sample. Still, even today, people are like,
yeah. Well, so what I was getting to is at that time, we had our tea nights going on.
Okay.
And shout out to people like DJ Wicked and the homie AJ Taylor. They were DJing for it. They were just a year or two older than us.
Right.
But Wicked had his brother Victor as a DJ.
Right.
So he grew up and had all that. You know what I mean? So he was the kind of DJ that not only am I going to play this song, not only am I going to play MC Breed,
right,
but I'm going to play, you know, the other, you know,
whatever the sample is in the
original,
background.
Like, I started doing that. And then you had your Mix It and Wicked Mix and
and
all those
those
DJ tools
in the remix, which is like a DJ Juanito from up north.
And so then they started putting. Remember, I think Wicked Mix had like a yellow. It was like a yellow
with like a Jack in the Box in the front or something.
But then they did the blue one, and that was like all the old school songs.
Yep.
So suddenly, Cutie Pie and Genius of Love, all those songs started coming back. Heartbreaker, Atomic Dog,
yep,
like
they
all
put
those
everything
songs
on there.
Started coming back into relativity. So now it was like, here you had like the late 70s, early 80s music coming back in the early 90s.
Exactly.
You know, and changing the scene. So to have George Clinton and Roger Troutman in the video, not only paid homage to those guys, but was like, yo, these people are putting it on. And I remember at the time, rappers were getting sued. You know, I think Beastie Boys were like one of the first or one of the biggest. I can't say that they're the first to be sued, but over copyright.
Biz Markie got sued back then.
I believe it was George Clinton that said, hey, if you want to sample my work, come talk to me.
Go ahead, but come talk to me.
Come talk to me before you do it. Like, I'm not going to make you pay, you know, for royalties and stuff like that. But come talk to me before you do it so that you don't get sued by, you know.
Yeah, which is true, because if you look at, so Stetsasonic, old school rap group, right? A lot of people might not know about, but a lot of people do. Stetsasonic has a song called Talking All That Jazz, which is about sampling, but the person where they say, here's how it started, heard you on the radio talking about sampling, talking this and that, you little sucker, you're talking all that jazz. That's about M2May is who they're talking about. They said he was on the radio saying, no, you can't sample my music.
Wow.
But eventually...
think about it like this, and here's how... record labels have changed and developed from then till now. You know, they owned a tiny share of their music.
Exactly.
You know, even then, even like, you know, Snoop Dogg now getting control of Death Row Records. I don't believe he has all of it, because somebody was saying that Tupac's albums aren't
there's some albums that definitely are not part of that catalog. I don't believe. I think they sold the rights to like the name, and some of the albums are not part of that catalog. My understanding as well.
So the labels owned a huge percentage of that. Now, I'm sure that when Death Row came about, in order to get Dr. Dre, I mean, he signed on, he was part owner of that, but in order to do that, I'm sure he wanted to take care of his artists, because he was coming off of was it Priority or Ruthless? He was coming off of Ruthless
Ruthless
records.
is Priority,
but they weren't paying what they should have been getting paid.
Or Ice Cube was Priority. Ruthless was
but Ice Cube, that was his reason for leaving. Not getting what I need to get paid. Eazy-E was, but
because Eazy-E signs with like Relativity, all according these Red, whatever it is.
To Jerry Heller, I read something about Jerry Heller saying that that Eazy-E was putting in millions before anybody else. So
that's the Jerry. I have the Jerry Heller book, and he talks
highly. I told you I watched the Michelle A. movie.
Yeah.
So that's another version of what happened back then.
Right.
And I think you kind of had to get all those. Plus, if you were around during that time, then you had your own.
Yeah, because you have a lot of like, let's say DJ Vlad interviews with a lot of people, and a lot of people are doing it like we're talking off memory a lot, right? We're not,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you're reading a source or something. You're like, I know this ain't true because I remember blah blah blah
Right.
specifically.
Hell yeah.
And then sometimes I hear someone say, well, I'm not in the movie because of this. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I would like to see in the NWA movie more Arabian Prince.
Right, exactly. That's how it started.
I want that Arabian Prince movie somewhere. But
NWA and the Posse.
Yeah, and then the Posse.
You know what I mean?
The Brother Arab album.
What about what was the Mexican guy's name?
Oh,
Dave?
yeah. Oh,
Dave or something like that.
Oh, man.
Something.
Hey, Mr. Dope Man. You
Right,
think
right.
Right.
He was the only Mexican in the Posse.
Yeah, he's in the.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
he's
where's
in
his
the
accolades?
Rhodium radio tapes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
there was a
Crazy
lot.
D.
There was a
Crazy
lot. Crazy D.
Crazy
There
D.
was a lot of history and stuff that's been left out because you can't tell everybody's story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People
Right.
just wouldn't get it. But we remember those things because we were around. We were there.
Hip hop branded our minds.
So I can't tell you what was happening, like, as far as when West Coast Potluck came out. Like,
Right.
that album came out 82,
Yeah, I was going to say that's like 82, 83, 82.
right? I
Young.
was way young. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea what K-Day was. Like, I didn't,
Right.
wasn't part of that.
Right.
But, that influential song
Right.
pushed this song to
This.
come on, and I think that was like Dre's. I think that was probably Dre's nod to not only Roger Troutman but also to Ronnie Hudson,
Yeah.
who gets credit for the California Love. He's part of the
writers? Is he a writer?
Yeah.
Who's a writer? Do you have the writers on there? You have it.
So it says Tupac Shakur second verse, James J. Flex Anderson the first verse.
Who's probably
ghostwriting for
ghostwriter.
Dre.
Right.
And then you have the credits of keyboards to Sean Barney Thomas, percussion, Carl Butch Small, producer, mixing, featuring rap, Dr. Dre, vocals, Talkbox, Roger Troutman, background vocals, Danette Williams, Dorothy Coleman, Barbara Wilson,
Barbara Wilson is Woman to Woman. That's the original.
engineer Keston E. Wright, engineer Rick Clifford, assistant engineer Alvin McGill, production assistants Larry Chapman, video direction Hype Williams.
Right.
Now, the second remix of the song,
Is that the one where the first remix where he mentions me? No.
okay, that's okay. So
That's
that's
the original.
the
That's the original.
official without Tupac, right? And the second verse it says,
Hanging with Zap. That's right.
Right. So,
I like to insert myself in the history.
yeah.
He said it. I didn't. He's
So,
talking about
Dre put him in the song.
Terry Troutman problem.
Producer Laylaw did an additional remix of the song,
Right.
which is often erroneously credited to Dr. Dre, and has been suggested to be one of the reasons for the fallout between Dre and Tupac a few months later.
Because of Laylaw?
Because of Laylaw. Because he produced the remix. Right.
Right, because a discussion that occurred often during those times, even back then, were people saying, well, I'm produced by Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And you hear it in the interviews. People say, there was like a small studio where you did the warm-up track, or like we put all these extra producers. But those are all people that they were funding, right? And then if it was a hit or sound like a hit, they bring them to the front. And
so there was two guys.
But Laylaw was part of the crew,
Right.
I mean,
But
back.
he wanted his
Credit.
He wanted his credit.
Okay.
Same thing with Daz was
Yep.
doing a lot of production.
Right. Right.
Um,
Daz said it a lot, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually have met Laylaw one time
Really?
at an Abbey Road record conference, and we met Eazy-E. My friend Andrew Castillo. Shout out to Andrew. He's in Hawaii now or something. We met Eazy-E. We met Ice-T. A whole bunch of people that week. But we met Bone Thugs and all this other stuff. But Laylaw was there with MC Ren, and they were already not with Dre, so whatever time that was. But and South Central Cartel and Nas that same day. And I think, I mean, I remember even before that, Laylaw was always like around NWA times, right?
No,
I mean, he was.
He says he knew Dre from 80, 81.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So they were right across the street from Fremont High School, and he played football for Fremont. He said Dre would dance at halftime with some other brothers, some pop locker dudes.
Yeah.
So they were aware of each other. They had interests. They were interested in the same thing.
Right.
And then they came about to cut their first record.
Yeah. And I mean, during that time, you had a lot of people.
Monster rapping.
Right. I mean, I think Clientele made a album like Concrete Roots during that time. That was like the Dr. Dre.
So this 1985 Monster Rapping, produced by Lonzo
Right.
and Dr. Dre of World Class Wrecking Crew, written and remixed and performed by Larry Goodman. Right.
Right.
So, but this was under Laylaw.
Is that Laylaw?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So what I was gonna say is, and you know that
we digress, but
that
keep
would have
going.
been cool too in the movie to have more on the World Class Wrecking Crew, because like how they did Miss Chalet in the movie when they did Turn Off the Lights.
Oh, right.
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like that, and that was my introduction to World Class Wrecking Crew. Like when that song came out, it was already huge, but
Right.
you know, when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is
You're
pretty
and
crazy.
I am
right here.
Kiko, the world class poet. Let me pour
Well,
you a
you had
glass
a
of
laugh.
Moet.
You had to laugh with nothing but a G-string on my hip, so it was kind of
Oh
like,
yeah.
some guy wearing a G-string. What the hell?
Yeah.
Anyways, Dr. Dre had a few producers under him,
Right.
and I always wondered like what happened to like Mailman and
Right.
Hitman.
Yeah. Now some of those I've seen recent interviews, like on, I don't know if one was, I can't remember, one was I think the Soren Baker Unique Access or whatever. They go back and they interview some of these guys, and they all kind of tell you know, like I know Danny Boy and all them tell stories about, yeah, they were producing and doing tracks like every day. I mean, the names, you know, you would see some of the names and you're like, wow, I remember that name. I don't remember them like really releasing any, like maybe one track or you know.
So, well, okay, so I had a CD of Hitman songs
Right.
and Mailman songs, and that's the only reason that I knew about it, because somebody burned me a CD and said, yo, you got to check this out. And I remember like, who is this? And these are the producers. These are Dr. Dre's producers.
Right.
And I was like, I thought Dr. Dre was a producer.
Right.
But apparently they would hit him off with the ideas and stuff that they had, and
Right.
then he would then kind of reconstruct. So sometimes not really at all. Sometimes he
Right.
would just add in his own.
Because the sound, I
Right.
guess, I guess sonically,
Yeah.
people say wait, but because I've heard exactly that, and then I hear the opposite, that where people say, yeah, but sonically, what they turned into him came out way different because he made it sound better, and this is how he made it sound better, and that's he would redo, you know, he would make the guy rap different, you know, a certain way, this specific verse, and also, you know, the drum has to be like, sound like this, or the bass needs to sound like this, or whatever it might be. And that was because back then, I mean, you had a bunch of people, remember, like especially once like people were sampling funk songs and stuff like that, you had everyone was like, no, I know everything about funk, and then you hear the more bounce loop, boom, 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 you know, over and over. That's why you have hundreds, if not thousands, of West Coast tracks with I don't want to say more balanced. I would say with a bunch of funk songs that are sampled that people are like, a lot of them sonically don't sound that great. You know what I mean? You can still hear the bacon from the records
right.
on it, or the cassette loop, or whatever it might be. And back then he seemed to be making more music, because I think if someone told me back then sample Ronnie Hudson, I just sample the boom, 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 boom,
Right.
you know. And remember, your samplers weren't like now. You still had to chop them a certain way, and you only got 8 seconds or
Right.
whatever it might be.
I remember. Shout out to my boy Johnny DJ Trick. He had the mixer
Yeah.
with the 8-second,
Yes.
the 8-count sampler
Right.
on it, and if you couldn't do it, we found out tricks
45.
to make. Yeah, you would speed it up,
Mhm.
record it, speed it up, and then play the sample slow. And,
Yes.
oh my God,
Yeah. Exactly.
it was crazy. But yeah, I do remember that, and Dre
Right.
not only worked with a lot of people who were already in the game, doing it, but
Right.
again, his knowledge of that,
Right.
and then him changing, upgrading, always upgrading
Right.
his, samplers and stuff like that. So
Right.
eventually it became
Right.
a thing where he wasn't even taking a less sample based
Right.
approach to music.
Right.
you know? So
Yeah.
he would just
Have people
he would
replay.
have his drum kit or his drum sound,
Right.
which I think once you develop that sound, then you're kind of
Right.
you had that sound like DJ Quick,
Yeah. got it.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that DJ Quick got his drum sound with his claps and all that stuff direct from Roger Troutman.
Right. I've heard, seen the interview or the story or whatever it might be. Right. Where that's who I got it from.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say, oh, and I got this keyboard from Roger Troutman, or I got these drum sounds specifically come.
I mean, to get that,
right.
because I know he did learn the top box
Yeah.
from him,
Right.
and there was only, I would assume there's only a handful of people that got that treatment. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
That. I'm sure there's a lot of people that tried and kind of got it, but to get that a direct lesson from Roger Troutman,
Right.
who fortunately gone too soon. Rest in peace.
Gone too soon. When you think about that you got Tupac's on
when
that
I
record.
think
he's
about
gone.
Roger Troutman, my memory is this, and it's so crazy because we've talked about this, and you were there. Radisson
Radisson, yes, Radisson.
by the airport in
Right.
Santa Maria,
Right.
and it was let me see, when did he pass away? Let's see here. Open new link. Roger Troutman, 1999.
Right.
April 25th, 1999. So I would say probably around 97.
Yeah, 96, 97,
yeah.
somewhere around there, yeah.
He came to Santa Maria
Right.
and he played the Radisson.
Yep.
And I came up from Santa Barbara. I was with
Mhm.
some people.
Right.
And we were in the room waiting, and I remember just seeing the band. And then all of a sudden, he comes in,
Mhm.
and he's playing the guitar,
Right.
and he is being carried on
Carried.
security's shoulders.
Exactly. Wearing like a military helmet or
Coming from the back of the room up to the stage,
right.
playing his guitar,
Yep.
and then he puts it down, and he gets on his keyboard,
Yeah.
and he has the talk box
Right.
thing, and the band's playing it, just going off. And
He did the classic. And the music stops and Santa Maria,
Yeah.
Santa Maria, right?
That was so, just to me, it was crazy. It was just
Yeah.
wow.
It was showmanship,
This
right?
guy, it
that
really was, and it
showmanship,
was we're in this little. I mean, it wasn't little, but it felt little. Like
Right.
you know.
Yeah. It was
like
pretty. It was a. Shout out to Paradise Mike because he threw that.
Oh really?
Show.
Oh
yes.
man, I gotta give him props.
He threw that show. He could probably tell you a whole bunch of details in the background about that, but I know he threw that show because he's like hired me. Not that other people have never brought, Zapp and Roger, but he definitely threw him back then, and he had a relationship with the family. I remember he called one time. He goes, "I'm gonna call Zapp and Roger right now." He called, and it's the brother that passed away the same day as Roger.
Larry?
But he was like the manager or whatever, and he was all mad at Mike. And I knew, he knows Mike. He was so upset, but in a fun way. What are you doing? And I think in the California Love video, there's a piece when Roger's doing his thing. And it kind of has that same vibe of being carried in the shoulder. I have to look back at it. I haven't seen it in a while, but those pieces right there, when you put them all together in a song, there's a way you could end up doing too much, and there's a way you could do like not enough. Like I've seen people like, they have somebody you're like, man, you could use this person this way, and they could demonstrate this, and they don't let them. Or the opposite, right? They let them, and then next thing you know, it doesn't sound at all like you would have wanted it to.
I remember being excited because obviously More Bounce was like the hot song for me at that time. Like that,
right?
I definitely wanted to see that perform.
Right.
Computer Love and I Want to Be Your Man. Those were some dope songs. Heartbreaker.
Right.
But the one song that I didn't really particularly care for, and that is until I heard them perform it, was Grapevine.
Oh yeah. Like,
and that was the dopest song to me that they did live that night.
Right.
That was the eye opener for me. Like when they did Grapevine, that sounded better than the original recording. Live, and you don't hear that a lot of times. A lot of times you'll hear comparable to a studio session. A studio session, you have everything to make it sound perfect, right?
Exactly.
And so I get that. So when you do live version, you're not going to get that. You don't have all that instrumentation and the sound and all that stuff. And usually you lose a lot, open space and sound carries and all that stuff. So
exactly,
that's why certain venues have select seating where it costs a lot because
it sounds way better. Yeah,
you're gonna get the best sound right there.
Right.
And so I was blown away when they did Grapevine. I was like,
right.
And it was just like, ooh, and he was Grapevine.
Yeah.
Heard it through the grapevine. It was like highs, lows, everything. The beat, everything was just on point.
If I look back at that, one of the things, I was off to the side of the stage, right?
Now you DJ'd for the opening act, did you not?
Yeah, yes, I did DJ for the opening act.
What opening act was that?
The opening act for that show was Cali Lifestyle.
CLS.
Yeah, and I could tell you exactly what songs we performed there. Here's the thing. I remember we were on stage. I had some airbrush slip mats that said DJ Zapp, right? And I remember before the show, they were like, "Who's the DJ?" I said, "I'm the DJ." And I remember the sound guy was taping off my mixer like, "You do not go higher than, you're not redlining, headlining.
Right.
You need more.
You are not headlining.
Yeah, you need more. You tell me." He was giving me all the instructions. You need more. You point. We'll do all this. But during the show, I wish I would have paid. Aside from being nervous, there's a lot of people there and stuff like that.
No,
and I was playing like
crazy
Nuance, take a chance, and anyone knows that record. It's a 45. It's a 12-inch record, but it's a 45. And when I first was going to start, I was 33. Yeah, rookied it. But I recovered. But one thing.
Take a chance.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember they would come off stage because they would do dances. They still do this, I think, in their shows. But last time I seen them, they still do. You know, they have they're playing their instruments, but they're dancing and still doing routines, and they're coming off the stage, and they're like waiting to go back on because their cue's going to come up again. I'm like watching, you know, like kind of like in the zone, and then at one point, you know, that place is not that big. That hotel was not that big.
In the stage.
But Roger Trout was like right here, and I'm like trying not to look, but I'm like, I turn around and look, and yeah, man, it was.
You know, they didn't have cameras, or I mean, they had cameras, right? But not like cameras. Not like on your cell phone, because they didn't have cell phones back then. You know, you were lucky to have a pager.
That's right. Thank God, because some people still say, "I remember you DJ'd that thing," and to them it's like so good. I'm like, I don't know if I did good. I just know that I DJ. I'm positive I DJ'd.
Right.
Positive I DJ'd a Kid Frost Lil Rob concert way back when Lil Rob was like 16, 15 years old. I know that for the same thing.
Lil Rob. Oh, he's some guy from San Diego.
Yeah, same thing. There's a bunch of folks on that bill that day, and I know Cali Lifestyle was there too again.
Yeah.
And so again, 96 or something, but you know, people could only say I remember, but they definitely, it's not like now. Here's a recording.
Right.
Maybe there was nobody with the big old VHS.
Right. Nobody getting you.
No.
On camera playing Jenny 6ix9ine.
Right. Yeah. Not like now. Yeah. How did I go from that to that? I don't. You know. We digress. Back to Roger Troutman and Dr. But can you imagine? So they record that song, him and Dre without Tupac beforehand, a full-blown studio session at some point, whether he added the raps on after or not, and then the Tupac piece comes on,
right?
And I mean, honestly, had Tupac not passed away, I don't think the song is as big as it is still big now.
True.
Right? I mean, it's big. It was big. It was a big song. It was a big song. I don't romanticize. I mean, I don't romanticize what Tupac I know, because I feel that a lot of times people romanticize only like the end part. He had albums earlier on that a lot of people, the Tupacalypse Now album was not like an album everyone was feeling.
Right.
I play like If My Homie Calls. I didn't play Brenda's Got a Baby. I wasn't trying to play a message song. We'd skip it and we'd fast forward it. We play If My Homie Calls because it had a cool video. It premiered like on MTV Raps or whatever. And before that, he was like, you know, wasn't into what's the one from Same Song, right?
He was with Digital Underground.
Yeah, he mentions in the California Love interview thing that he met Dre at All in the Same Gang, which again is after that video shoot, and asked about being that he, you know, if he would be. Dre asked him if he'd be in the video, and then later on he said, and for years he was trying to get beats from Dre,
right?
You know, but that piece, I think, you know, unfortunately, but still at the same time, that's like the stamp song. There'll be a bunch of gangster stuff, but this is the one you can play for your mom, right?
Right. I was a fan of Digital Underground at the time, so he had some songs like on their second album, but then they did the EP release.
Yeah.
And
Digital Love.
Same song came out, and there was another one that he did with them that I liked. Right. Then he does his Tupacalypse, which was in '91.
Right. Which is Interscope. That's an Interscope.
13 albums, 13 tracks on it.
Right.
And yeah, I would say maybe. I mean, Brenda's Got a Baby, definitely. That video was everywhere.
Yeah, that was message song. Yeah,
people loved it because it was a message, and it showed his depth as far as an artist and what he's doing. If My Homie Calls, and I believe that was on a soundtrack, wasn't it? Or no?
Yeah. If My Homie Calls, you know, I'm trying to think.
Well,
when does he do Juice?
It was a double A-side single with Brenda's Got a Baby.
Yeah.
So that one, it was on the flip side. It was upbeat, right? And then Trapped would probably be the third song
Trapped.
from that
Trapped.
album.
I
But
think in the video
Young
he's in a
Black
jail.
Male, Soldier Story, I Don't Give a Fuck, Violent, Words of Wisdom, Something Wicked,
Right.
Cricket Ass, N-Word, The Lunatic, Rebel of the Underground.
Is Ray
Part-Time
Love on
Rebel.
any of those? Is Ray Love on it? No.
No, I don't. Oh yeah, no. Ray Tyson, no.
No.
So, in that sense, like, you're right. I wasn't a big fan of Tupac.
Yeah, I didn't hate
So,
him. I just
Strictly for my NIGGAZ.
right.
Holler If You Hear Me, right?
Right.
That one was cool.
Which one's Me Against the
Keep
World?
Your Head Up. I Get Around, featuring Digital Underground. So that was the second one
Right.
that it is. So same song was on Digital Underground's album.
Right.
Then he did I Get Around.
Yeah, I Get Around.
And that one was pretty dope.
I Get Around and
So-
Keep Your Head Up were on the same, at least the same promo 12-inch. I know that for sure. I
Right.
had that one.
So that, yeah.
Play both sides.
So, yeah, that one, again, not really too many songs that I would play or
Right.
listen to. Now, my brother at that time was becoming a Tupac fan, but he was a little
Right.
bit younger than me, so maybe he
Ye-
related more to him.
Yeah.
I guess
Because I remember Afrocentric Tupac. Remember when he was in the same song, and he came out in like the again, my memory's fading me, but it's probably the Dashiki kind of right.
He had the whole
And it was like ahead
look
and
coming out. He's
bog-
coming out being carried by guys in the
yeah. And I was
little
like,
cart.
all right, I see
Yeah,
what's going on. And that was the thing, right? But you had X Clan.
Well,
you had
X-Clan was definitely pushing the.
You had X Clan. We'll have an X
Authenticity.
Clan show
Plus,
soon.
you had all the native tongue guys
right.
on the East Coast that were doing that. So
Right.
that was
Red,
a
black,
big
and green.
thing,
You're wearing red, black, and green tonight, by the way.
Again, with the Message song that Brenda's Got a Baby, and that was a huge,
Yeah, it
huge
made sense.
song
It made sense, yeah.
for Tupac. So for him to come out and the Tupacalypse now is just like, it's like this
Right.
is how it's going. So much
Right.
hope for that. And then 2 years later is when he released Me Against the World.
Right.
And that
was the one.
so much had happened. That was in 95.
Right.
And then so much had happened from 93 to 95
Right.
in a short time. And then that's when you start having the beef, go
Right.
down with he had already been shot and just a whole bunch of stuff happening.
Right.
It was crazy. 94, Above the Rim. That's when that came out.
Yeah, 94 Above the Rim. That was a good man. That album right there. That's a whole nother discussion
That
too.
is.
That right there.
Right?
is,
So he had already been in Juice. He had already been in Poetic Justice.
Yeah.
He had already been in Nothing But Trouble, which is the one with Digital Underground.
Chevy Chase and Demi Moore. That's right.
So, yeah, man, he was just pushing it, just going on. So, coming into this, leaving Me Against the World, and then going into his next album, which was the All Eyes on Me.
Right.
He was in and out of jail, and he's coming out, and he's just ready to do it.
Right.
Death Row is at its biggest point ever because
Right.
was it 92 when they did Deep Cover?
They did
Right.
Deep Cover.
And so that was the
First.
introduction. That was the introduction to
Right.
to Snoop, and then Snoop comes out and he's got the Dog Pound. So now you want to know who the Dog Pound is. Then Dre comes out, right? Or Dre. Then
They
Snoop,
weren't just the guys running down the alley in
and-
the Snoop Dogg video.
right? And then so it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So now he's out.
Suge
Gets him
Knight.
out, and the first thing he wants to do is get in the studio and record.
Right.
Dre's under pressure to make his Chronic 2, has a song. Tupac hears it, says,
Let me
get on.
Right.
Let me get a verse.
Right.
15 minutes later, he records it. A week later, they start shooting.
Right.
That's
rap.
crazy.
It's a rap.
That is nuts. And
That-
then to do the remix, and then do a second video, and I like the remix.
Yeah.
I do,
yeah,
man. I just feel like it's more mellow, like just kind of on a cool vibe.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that first one with Tupac and Dre,
Right. And they could afford
that
to do
was a
it.
classic, because then once that hit the dance floor, once that hit the club scene,
Yeah.
oh my God, forget about it.
Throw the West
California
Side.
love. You had to feel it. And I'm sure with that song, the way it blew up and the way it took over, I'm sure it had to make East Coast for the first time,
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah, you
how
saw that
are
little
these-
smirk smile I just
Right?
did right now. Yeah.
how are these guys
Right.
taking over the rap world?
Right.
What is going on?
That's when they said,
And
well,
what's going on with New York music?
Yeah, they're
because really, and at that time, I was a fan.
Yeah.
huge fan.
Yeah.
We listened to
Dude.
Tribe like every day. Tribe
Right.
Called Quest was our
That was it.
stuff right
Yes,
there.
that was
So
it.
it was like I was a fan of East Coast of it, and once that came out,
Right.
or once it in 92, 93, when that West Coast sound dropped,
Right.
I started becoming less and less of a fan of what was happening in New York, because then everything started sounding the same.
Yeah.
And not a diss to any of the East Coast rappers, but like people like Helter Skelter and the Boot Clip and
Yeah.
who else? I don't know.
There's
Just
a lot.
people like
You had your Diamond D.
right
back then, I
and
mean,
it,
you
it
started
just
having-
started all sounding the same with these beats that were just like
Right.
these beats
it was-
just don't move.
They were
because-
boom bappy. They're still like, I mean,
Right.
it was boom bap, which was like, I mean, whatever. I
was
that's what I
cool,
call
but
it. Don't don't.
It
I'm
just
not
wasn't.
misquoting.
It wasn't moving me, and I guess because the samples that West Coast was using were familiar.
Yeah, they were.
And so
East
it
Coast was
just-
still sampling. You had DOS Effects was out at the same time as Nothing But a G Thing.
Right.
They were about the same BPM, about 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. And I play them back to back. I play DOS Effects because they want effects.
Oh, I
They
love
want,
DOS effects.
But also because it had that little break. Boom, 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 which
Yeah.
now I guess maybe sounds like Magic Stick now that I think of it. But but at that time I was like, oh, I could play the Chronic, and then which was G Thing, but I just called it the Chronic because that was what it was, right? And I play G Thing, and then everyone get on the floor, and then even people who didn't dance. Remember in the G Thing video, there's that one guy with the marijuana leaf hat, and he's just standing against the wall, and he's like that, and you're like, and everyone was like, well, I'm going to be that guy. If I'm not going to dance, I'm just going to be against the wall.
Was that DLC? Or no? No, it wasn't DLC.
No, there's.
It was somebody else.
Yeah, it was somebody else.
Right.
But
He was just like,
yeah, he was just vibing, right? Those are the things that during that time, once California Love put the stamp, it was kind of like, okay, I'm okay. Because up until then, I don't think, the Chronic did it. Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style did it even more. But you still had to be like, wait, there's a East Coast that I had to pay homage to and show a lot of respect to, because that's what we grew up with, listening, and you still listen to. You still had Redman. You still had your.
But people, okay, so then you had people trying to hold on to their careers,
right.
and they weren't doing it, like Houdini and.
Be careful,
Kool
you're gonna hurt
G.
me, and you're gonna say Houdini.
I know, but like, those guys,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, I know.
Eric B and Rakim, like they were having their fallout.
Right.
EPMD was like trying to go harder. Like
There was
you
a
remember
P-
the crossover?
Yeah, the crossover, and then there was
Gold Digger. So Gold Digger, I really.
Yeah.
It was like it was
Plus
cool,
they
but it wasn't
split
cool.
up during that time. There's a PMD album with solo on
Right,
that
right.
ass, but it's still the same.
Right.
I am Mike Tyson. I'm Michael Jordan. Michael Jackson,
Right,
Tupac
so,
Shakur. And
they had their thing, and
shout out to PMD Mike Doc.
Redman was like real, like he was just real rugged, like
Right.
just and it wasn't like it was. They had their funk songs. and
Yeah,
their,
Blow
their
Your
stuff,
Mind, Blow
right,
Your
but
Mind. Marky D, shout out to
but
Prince
it
Marky
just-
D
it
for that
just-
album.
They kind of just wanted to go too hard, and I think the West Coast stuff just wanted to have a good party.
Right, because you had Daddy
what I
O
mean?
came out with Brooklyn Bounce during that time, and I was like, this is the way. Brooklyn. I was like,
Right.
man, that song is, it was more bounce. And he was rapping, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be over here listening to Dr. Dre.
Right.
right after.
Right. So it was just, it was such a weird time. And like I said, Death Row was just dominating. Everybody wanted to sound like them. And if you even if you weren't, you were still kind of
Right.
in that same groove because, people like SCC, like South Central Click,
Right.
and Warner G. We mentioned him,
yeah.
and he wasn't part of, but
Mr. Grimm.
he had his style.
Domino.
Loonies.
Loonies is coming out. Yeah, we got to get
Dre,
like
and then then that led
RBL.
to a whole Bay Area sound that was
RBL
like,
Posse.
but this was still West Coast, so it was still
yeah,
hitting.
Too Short was still
like
there.
Mac Dre with the what's the California? What's the song?
California Living.
Right, California Living, right? So
Right.
that was like, you would have thought he was from LA, really,
Yeah.
on that song, like,
Zoop.
and
Amp,
then you had
Zapboards,
people like MC Breed, who was from
the Midwest.
Detroit, Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
And he
He actually.
when Breed dropped,
Yeah, that was.
Bro.
You couldn't tell me he wasn't from Santa
Bro,
Maria.
man, he was
from the 805 during that time.
right.
Shout out to MC Breed.
When
Rest in
MC
peace, right
Breed
there. He was
dropped. Ain't no future in your front, man. That was played everywhere.
Yeah.
And you thought because of the sample, because of the funky weird sample that Easy
Right.
and everybody else had already been using,
yeah.
you would swear that he was from Compton.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea what.
Yeah, when he said,
what-
and when I get my Jeep, I'm putting Breed on the chrome. I'm like, yes, that's what people do. They get chrome and they put their name on the chrome. That's what they did. That's
like
what
the
they
old
did.
school belt buckle.
Yeah, man. That's
With your initials.
with your
on it.
initials. Shout out. Shout out to La Bonito Clothing. Yeah, man. I was like, what?
Crazy,
Crazy.
right?
Yeah.
So just that whole sound taking over.
right.
And then you had a resurgence of East Coast coming back to try to reclaim
right.
their throne. So like Biggie's first album, Wu-Tang
Wu-Tang.
wasn't on that,
Right.
but they brought in a whole new style
Yeah, they.
of that hardcore beat. So it was kind of like, whoa,
yeah, I
like,
think.
what is this? And they suddenly you had this attitude where we don't care about beats.
Right.
We care about lyrics.
Yeah.
You know
let
what I
me
mean?
flow over this.
Our lyrics is what's gonna get you. We're lyricists.
Right.
We don't care about beat. Put the same beat on and I'll tear it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that created a whole different style.
Yeah.
And so you had, I feel like East Coast that tried to do both. You were gonna either
Yeah.
do like a bad boy style, like influence, or
Shank.
you were gonna do like a Wu-Tang. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
some try to do like the tongue twister,
Right.
DOS Effects, Fushnikins type deal. Others went
Plus-
Bad Boy, Jermaine Dupri.
Right.
You know,
Plus, back then you had crew, so Wu-Tang had their, your Inspector Dex and your everybody
Right.
else that was like, still pieces of them, but, when's the Master Killer album
Right.
coming
It was
out?
like
And
9 members.
I was
It
like,
crazy.
dang, all right, yeah, that's another 9 CDs this guy
You know,
got to buy.
And it's crazy because for me, I didn't become a Wu-Tang fan until after, I don't know, 97,
yeah,
98, like when I was like
right,
Tupac had already passed away, Biggie had already passed away,
yeah.
And then I started getting turned on to their music, and it was kind of like, oh,
And I think what helped that was you start having groups on the West Coast, Freestyle Fellowship, who did Lab Cabin,
Farside,
Farside,
which they'll be in slow,
which they'll be in slow.
Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody wants to take us,
Someone wants to take us.
I'm open.
We're down. We're
I
down. We're
don't have a
down.
job.
But yeah, man, you start having that, which people are like, I'm into hip hop. I don't want to listen to like just rap over. Plus, you gotta admit, some people doing samples horribly help people get away from wanting to hear samples, because after a while people are like, man, I heard so and so already sampled that, and or it was better without being sampled.
It was just I think what started happening is like that cookie cutter effect, which what happens when anytime someone introduces a new sound to a genre, and then it's like everybody jumps on that, like, oh, I could do that. Oh, you have the Akai 825. I got the Akai 825. Look, I could do, you know what I mean? And so that's what that starts happening. You have this cookie cutter sound, and it's good and it's bad. It's a double-edged sword, because then it promotes that sound and style of music, but then if that music isn't up to par, then it's kind of like, oh man, your rhymes are grade school rhymes, like you know, and then you get kicked back or pushed to something else. Like what was the guy's name that everyone loves now, or loved? He passed away. Kool Keith.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, right.
Okay, I wasn't a fan. I thought this guy's rhymes are like Mickey Mouse. Like, what the hell?
Oh man.
But now I can appreciate what he was doing, because he was trying to do it his way. He didn't want to be Dre or Puff. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like he wanted to do his thing.
Yeah, and you know, I have a very distinct memory when Kool Keith, when they were part of Ultramagnetic or whatever, man. You know, he had that it's that video. He lines up LL and he lines up Kool Mo D in front of him, and they're kneeling down in front of him before the video starts. Then he has another one. What is it, Papa Large, when he's rapping upside down with the straight jacket, you know, pre 50 Cent, hanging upside down. And you know, now people look at it, and you have legions of people that are like, man, that's the stuff he did was real hip hop,
right?
And it was just, there's so much stuff that is now hip hop that you know, I mean, I still DJ weddings once in a while, but I could tell you, California Love's like on the playlist the same way as Celebration and We Are Family.
California Love, I'm pretty sure
Brown Eyed Girl.
There's a Kids Bop version.
Yeah, there's a Kids Bop version. I'm sure there is, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some type of there must be commercials or something where it's at, unless they couldn't get the releases or whatnot, you know.
And it's been sampled, you know.
Yeah.
Different times and different people. Shout out to June, who said it's better live. The bass guitar scene Zap in September here in Irvine at the 5 Points Amphitheater. Yes, live, definitely on point. But there's a lot of acts that aren't better live. But that's for another show. Brand New said lyrics ain't nothing if the beat ain't cracking, and that's kind of how I feel. But that might just be like a West Coast thing, because like I said, I don't know, maybe if we were around the East Coast in the early 90s, we might have felt a different way about it. I know they're
might have a podcast right now talking about it over there in the West.
Because, you know, when Tim Dog came out with the Fuck Compton, right?
And
he was trying before. I had heard of Tim Dog.
Yeah.
And one of the stories,
it was with Ultramagnetic.
One of the stories that shout out to Demiza that he tells is he was at some place where a lot of people were performing or whatever, and he was playing a video game, and Tim Dog stepped to him and kicked him off the video game.
Oh wow!
And he was like, "What?" And he had like his own like personal bodyguards and stuff, and so he walked away like pissed off, like he just got punked for his video game.
Yeah.
Right. So he's always like, "Well, fuck Tim Dog," you know. But that's like a personal.
Right.
You know, it's a dick move from the guy. But he came to the West Coast with attitude. He was mad that the West Coast was getting shine. And so
and you hear people from the East Coast, they do talk about that like with a little sense of pride, but I'm like, well, listen to Ronnie O and Joe Cooley, the F New York album.
Right.
I love that album. I play.
So
you don't hear me though as much as you want.
So you started having that, and then you started having people like Mobb Deep and all them do songs against California. It's just crazy. But
Yeah. I think we're reigniting the East Coast West Coast beef right now as we
no
speak.
way.
Add more kindling. Tell me a little bit more what
Definitely
East Coast
not.
groups be dissing us.
I'll tell you what, East Coast sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a little list of interviews we were going to do, but now I'm crossing out Mobb Deep because of or at least one of them or whatever. Because thanks, man. Keep going.
The motherfuckers have sickle cell.
Oh, wow.
Shit. Too soon.
Dude.
Horrible.
Wow, horrible.
California love. It's all good. It ain't the city of brotherly love. That's Philadelphia, but California.
It's not the Sunshine State either,
definitely.
but you know Dre said it's the Sunshine State, right?
Isn't that Florida?
That is Florida.
Oh, yeah.
But he says, I'm from the Sunshine State where the bomb-ass hemp be.
That is true.
He says that.
Yeah.
But what's the Sunshine State?
When we interview him, we're going to have to talk to him about that.
I mean, it was probably the ghostwriter. Right? The guy. What's the guy? Not Laylaw either. I don't think it was Laylaw.
No, it was J Flex or somebody.
Yeah.
J Flex. James Anderson.
I think I saw an interview with J Flex. He wrote Natural Born Killers. He wrote Natural Born Killers, man. Pretty sure.
All right.
We'll save it for when we get Nocturnal on the interview.
One more time. Let's put our sponsors up real quick.
Yeah, there we go. Hold on.
We gotta end this on a positive note.
On a pause.
Shout out to Adept.
Adept. There's an E in the middle.
Was I not saying that?
No, it's Adept. Someone told me, what's AD equals PT? And I said, wow, nothing.
Okay.
Secret. Adept Entertainment.
MMC.
MMC 805 since 2016.
Look them up on IG. Follow them wherever they'll be at.
Tell them we sent you. Next up, Markov. Isaiah, shout out to you. Angie. While they're at it, if you're enjoying the show.
Yes. Tell your peoples. Spread the love. Show some love. Show some 805 love.
Yeah.
Show some California love.
This is what we do full time up in here.
All right. We want to thank you for tuning in.
California love.
And we appreciate everybody that has subscribed. We got to go.
We got to go.
I got to go right now.
All right. Mixtape Podcast 805. Tell your friends. Subscribe. DJ Zap. KD. So leaving. Later.